Good afternoon. I'm Andrew Turner. I've worked with a lot of you in the past, and I used to work for a project called GeoIQ, but this summer recently actually joined with a bigger company you might know as ESRI. So I'm now the CTO of the Research and Development Center now in DC, focusing on a lot of different aspects of geospatial and crisis response around open data, integration with open source technologies. And what I'm going to talk about here is looking at ways that we can start utilizing GIS and all of this great information to make really important decisions around big data. And big data really varies by who you're talking to and what it means, so it's kind of this amorphous thing, kind of like GIS as well. It can mean a lot of different things to different people. But what it is a fascinating way to start looking at ways we can start understanding this vast stream of huge amount of information and start making really important decisions. And we think it's big now. We looked at, earlier, Twincident mentioned 400 million tweets a day. There's over 6 billion social features and social devices out there that people are engaging with. And this is today, and this is going to start growing exponentially with people engaging and continuing to publish new streams of data, both social data and sensor data. And obviously, in our space, crisis, there's nothing so poignant as these very short, very emergent, very life-threatening situations around the use of the social media data and the impact it can start having. So people are starting to engage and starting to dump out a lot of information. An example that we're all very familiar with is around Haiti, and within days and then weeks, the amount of really amazing data that was crowdsourced around road data in projects like OpenStreetMap that provided really informative, actionable data that was in the hands of responders in the field to save lives. And it wasn't just the data of the roads, it was the information. It was people doing building damage assessment. It was IDP camp locations, the number of people at those IDP camps. It was road size and road conditions. It was some really good information that was actually being pushed out there, but it still kind of relied on someone who knew what they were doing to make decisions with it. So one example was starting to do some spatial analysis of this data, start understanding where was there kind of a lack of service. So Nate Walpert did some analysis of a lot of this crowdsourced data and said, okay, well, here's areas that are being underserved, counter to the demand identified through social media. So all these things work very, very well when we know a situation is occurring or probably about to occur. So we build these hashtag lists and synonyms. We start tracking them and pulling all these tweets in. But that's kind of ad hoc, and it's assuming we already know something's actually happening. How can we actually get to understanding things before they start happening? You just start seeing lots and lots of dots on a map, and that's interesting. You can start maybe seeing some spatial patterns there, and that's kind of all right, but you're not really sure what that starts meaning. So, and then you have people kind of start reading through all of these piece by piece by piece, and yes, the crowd is very helpful, and they can do amazing things, but they're still having to go through every single piece, and hopefully they can filter it for you and find relevant pieces of information, and hopefully they're linking them all together. And this is kind of that crux of this big data. You can throw a lot of people at it and help out, and that's good. GIS analysis is another path to take out of it in terms of doing counts and spatial aggregations and buffers. So looking at how many tweets or social media messages and Instagram photos compared to this was the Waldo Canyon fire. Okay, how near are they? Where does that compare to population? And this is all good. But we actually did this exercise out at Camp Roberts this past summer and came up with this, we now dubbed the Racer Boy 8 problem. It was this one Twitter handle, this person sitting in their house, putting out useful data, but a huge amount of specific data at their house. And their house wasn't threatened, they were just being helpful. So if you apply traditional geospatial analysis to it, you might get false positives. So what we really need to start doing is evolving our kind of analysis, is moving beyond traditional geospatial analysis, to start doing some kind of statistical mechanics and learning algorithms to then put in the hands of possibly crowds for people to start understanding more about it. So this is Claude Shannon. He's actually the father of information theory, and he had this methodology called entropy, or Shannon's entropy, which starts understanding and being able to measure areas of unexpected behavior. It's used a lot in lossless compression formats. And what it simply says is by basic entropy, and if everything were perfect, that everything would be random over the screen. And that's kind of one condition where you'd have points everywhere, there are people everywhere in population centers, that kind of makes sense. But how do you start being aware of what's actually going on and what's important? What did you not expect, given the assumed norm? So a project we did last year around the New York Marathon was there were about 150,000 people with mobile devices walking around, engaging, learning about the marathon, and about 3 million messages over an 8-hour period. And what FEMA wanted to know is, okay, where's the crowd? Where did I not expect them to be? Tell me how these things are emerging over time so I can be alerted if I need to send police there, if I need to help crowd control. So over the day, we're able to alert and see the progress of through time and space as these things were emerging before something actually happened, before someone said that there was an issue or a trampling or something like that. So where we're getting into these community detections is utilizing the social media to actually inform through these models to start understanding where these emergent behaviors are, hopefully before they happen. And not just do it in one situation, but how does this one situation now model another situation? When I know what a wildfire starts looking like weeks and months beforehand, or as it's emerging, how can I apply that to understand new wildfires before they actually get out of hand? So really start looking at the traditional geospatial processing, but looking around big streams of data, applying social networks to that, and new models to that to do these kinds of new informative analytics around it. So I'm looking forward to hearing what other people are working on and talking to you during the conference. Thank you.